Welcome to Goraya. Hello, everyone. Today we are diving into a thought provoking topic, the new statue of Lady Justice, which is installed in the Supreme Court last year. And this statue of Justice, yeah, actually, which used to have sword and scale, but now new statue Lady Justice is having sword and scale, but it is not blindfolded. This change actually brought to the debate and discussion, and War Council criticized for this move mainly because they were not consulted. And what was missing actually from this conversation was actually deeper philosophical question on which whole liberal or enlightenment judicial system rests upon the premises. And this was extremely shocking for me to understand that how such a important question is missing from the discussion. And certainly I'm not here to criticize the government decision, but the topic which should have been raised, and instead exploring the criticism of the war and many advocates, but they did not touch upon the philosophical meaning of blindfolded statue. That is what I today wanted to discuss. And what is the actual meaning of the blindfolded statue of justice, and which is deeply rooted in rationalism and enlightenment. So, to understand the broader meaning of this shift, we need to look at how justice is used in Western Enlightenment thought. And we will discuss Indian perspective of the justice, and the system. But mainly, it was extremely crucial for me to discuss that how important it is. See, the blindfolded statue of justice here represented two things. First, weighing scale for empirical evidences and blindfolded for a priori logic. So, once reality occurs in empirical realm, it becomes a form of part of the reality, but not complete reality. This concept is there in Indian philosophical school as well, but a priori logic is a complete logic from where you have to derive the truth. And that is the simple reason where concept of justice is equated with idea of the God, and people has to trust that version of justice with that level of integrity that they believe in God and sanctity. That is what sanctity of the justice, if it is driven from a priori logic, means conclusion, not from the empirical reality which can influence your logic. So empirical logic is not absolute, which let's say being scale will represent, but a priori logic will represent the universal truth. So on the question of morality and foundational question of the society, a priori logic will decide what is good and what is bad for the society. Whereas removing the blindfold, it was shocking that to claim that, see, now statue of justice can see the injustice and also can see delivering justice. This statement is highly problematic from the point of view of Western Enlightenment and rationalist school of thought. If you really want let's say, if government is interested in installing a statue of justice in India, then they should install a statue of dharma and karma. Karma and dharma are not having a statue with constitution and being a skill. That is actually a problem which appears for me at philosophical level. That is what so it is misconception that logic only exist in empirical world. That is what shocking for me was that. So the judiciary accepting that so it was like when judiciary has accepted homosexuality as innate trait, is one example where logic was actually misunderstood. and reasoning and rationality was rejected. So, Western judiciary has actually such, made the progress in jurisprudence where they established empirical logic, rejecting a priori logic, and having misconception about both. This is extremely a shocking for me to. I'm not established philosopher, but still having developing my understanding, but it was really problematic for me. So justice has often been of course compared to the god. If judgment is based on a priori logic, it aligns with divinity. However, once a reality is perceived by the mind, it loses its universal truth and becomes judge a partial reality. So it's like the concept of God. While God is an absolute logical conclusion, and moment God takes form in the real world, it is only a partial truth. So why we believe in the idea of God? Only because it does not exist in this world, in the real world. If God is coming on this world and walking on the street and coming and ruling, then it becomes partial. That is the importance of having blindfolded statue and having idea of justice at absolute level. That is what so the idea implies to justice as well. When a statue of justice isn't blindfolded, it loses its impartiality. It becomes part of the wise reality we live in, just like a deity that becomes the human once it walks among us. Removing the blindfold from Lady Justice makes a symbol of the power structure, of course, because in the real world, wise is unavoidable. The only way to avoid it is not only seeing it at all, symbolizes the blindfold. So, if a judge insists on seeing justice being delivered, they risk taking the role of executive, becoming partial. So, true justice is not about seeing. It is about understanding universal truth without influence of this worldly perception. This is extremely important question which we have to understand, that a judge cannot claim that they want to see justice is being delivered. Then that judge becomes or having a tendency of becoming a king. This is this is the problem where we have to be careful when we are following any discussion of what we are saying. So take the Indian perspective. If you take the Indian perspective, or in government really want to have a means to decolonize Indian judicial system or jurisprudence, then they should install a statue of karma and dharma. And that statue of dharma will be very appropriate to have a Eastern jurisprudential system replacing Western Enlightenment philosophical thought. Not saying that no, now statue of justice will be having constitution and weighing scale and without blindfold. So dharma in Indian philosophy goes beyond just addressing moral question for Hindus, but it is extremely important in rooted in universalism, which of course Radhakrishnan had some understanding about it, but nobody, I don't know, the Indian philosophers who are dealing from this aspect. So these are universal secular principles that might even offer a more nuanced approach than Western system and Indian, of course. So if Indian government wanted to decolonize justice system, perhaps they should have installed a statue of Dharma instead. So the Indian tradition of justice, which centers on karma and dharma, is actually a quite advanced. What has been actually misunderstood by colonizer and Westerns or Indian even. I can say that theory of karma and dharma, which is actually had been established in a sense, establishing connection with rebirth, but actually it is not true. In Indian philosophical discourse, theory of karma and dharma has to be understood in this world, and that is a different topic we will discuss. So statue of justice, if it is Western conception and without blindfold, it is not a statue of justice. And if judge want to see justice being delivered, then it is extremely a biased statement. The conception of justice in enlightenment rationalism is actually you uphold non biasness and not to get influence from what actually you see in the empirical world. That is the objective of keeping blindfold. So, otherwise, a liberal jurisprudence will turn out to, in terms of Judge Bill, become a king who wants to see, not only want to deliver justice, but also see justice being delivered and established. This is absolutely against the democracy. So this is where we have to be careful. Actually, what? So I wanted to discuss this only because of two important reasons. First, how good Supreme Court lawyers or judges are in in understanding the meaning of blindfoldedness of the statue of justice. Second thing is how the important discussion on a priori logic and how it is misunderstood. So when a judiciary which upheld homosexuality as innate, then the same judiciary can do this mistake. There is no doubt about it, and I have serious objection on this. I'm not nobody, but I have developed a serious objection on this philosophical objection. I'm not saying, and it has to be taken into consideration. Then, if there is any other topic, we will take up and discuss. But if you like, please follow, like, and subscribe, so that my channel can grow and I can engage more serious discussion on some important topics. Thank you very much, and follow Dinesh Ahirwar.